What's up, guys? This is Fiona Rene, and I'm on the School of Hollywood.
Well, hello, Fiona. I got to tell you, I loved you on the Amazon series. I know what you did last summer.
Thank you. Thank you. Murder and Delight.
Hey, the big question is, what'd you really do for your summer?
We shot in Hawaii. So I was lucky. I was really lucky that I got to be on the beach and in the sun, and I had some time off between episodes. So I was a lucky gal for sure. I'm already missing it.
Oh, wow. That's a nice place to be shooting. Is there going to be another season? Can you tell us anything about that? Or
I wish I knew.
Come on,
I wish I knew. The minute I know, I'll let you know, Steve. But it's all still up in the air, and who knows? We got nothing.
So you've got a career in both acting and voiceover, and you have a new cartoon voice that you're doing in a PlayStation game. We Are OFK. And what does the OFK stand for?
You'll have to find out, and you'll have to find out when you.
I got to play the game just to get to find out what it stands for. Yeah,
because it's really about this group of young LA millennials that are trying to get together. And I think that you kind of develop who we are as you play the game. And so, yeah, you'll have to find out for sure. I mean, the relationships and who they become is really what the game is about.
Is this based on a real band or a fictitious band?
Well, that's a funny question too, because it's become a real band, a virtual digital band, and you'll be able to unlock music videos and songs of the actual band as you play. So it's kind of like an episodic series that you get to play along, you get to interact with, and as you finish each level, you unlock our music.
Oh, cool. Little Easter eggs inside the video game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What really makes the difference in this video game compared to other video games?
Well, I mean, there's an interactive element that is part of the narrative. So, a lot of video games, you get to interact in the sense that you get to click next and you get to fight, where this is more of like a narrative interaction. You get to choose how characters respond. And then that obviously, I mean, have you read like a choose your own adventure novel?
I have not.
Okay. Back in the day, those used to be kind of hip.
Okay.
But now, different games, there are a couple games out there. I haven't played many that you really get to pick some of the narrative responses. And based upon what you choose, the story changes. So I think that's the coolest element for players to be involved with, is to really have a hand in how the story changes. And Grand Theft Auto kind of did that, where the minute that you make a different choice, the story develops so differently that you want to go back and you want to play it again, so you can see how the story could have ended up. I think that's my favorite part.
They're also planning on doing that for television too. That's been in the works on trying to do that. I think part of the problem in that is with the unions trying to figure out, okay, if this actor doesn't show up in this episode and they show up in this episode, how are they going to get paid?
That I wish I knew the answer to. But yeah, I think Netflix did one with Black Mirror a few years ago, and I think it was really fun, but I think you're right. It's a difficult process to really not only shoot, but like you said, pay the actors once it's all done.
Had you ever been in a recording studio before you started on the project?
Before We Are OFK? Oh yeah. Yeah. I was really lucky enough when I first came out to Hollywood, I started working more in voiceover. I moved to Hollywood from London, and the majority of my acting work in London, especially being an American in the middle of England, was voiceover work. So I transitioned my career in voiceover when I came to LA, and I've been lucky enough to do a lot of radio and cartoons, animation, commercial, things like that. So I feel I've got a little booth in my closet in my bedroom, covered in egg crate foam, and I'm in there every morning doing auditions.
Hey, well, it's better than having to go in the studio, drive across town to Santa Monica, then drive back to Hollywood.
The only difference is there's snacks. When you go to a voiceover studio in Hollywood, there's always a dang kitchen with loads of snacks. So that's the only downside of staying in my pajamas at home, is that I don't get the same snacks.
Exactly. When doing the voiceover work, did you have to do any kind of special training to get started into it, or you just were a natural? You went in and did your very first one?
Well, two things. I took a couple classes when I was in London. I've been acting my whole life. And a lot of the time you realize, the acting part, it translates. Be honest in the moment, be as real as you can. And with voiceover, it's almost times 10 because they can hear in your voice that tiny little bit of insecurity or lack of confidence. But the technicalities, I did take a couple of classes when I was in London, and I was so lucky that I booked a agent in London who the owner really sat down with me and he helped me make my reel. And he kind of gave me some one-on-one training technically on, how close to get to the mic and what a pop screen is. And, how to keep my face staying forward as opposed to when I want to act, I want to move my face to the side and it doesn't pick up the same way. But that being said, as much as I did a little training, the only thing that really trained me was just getting in there and messing up and being in the moment and being like, oh, someone told me to do this. Oh, sorry. Let me try again. Cause emotionally, that like sticks with you. So I did take a couple classes, but I would say just throwing myself into the ring and screwing up was like the best possible training.
I worked in radio for many years and I've probably done about 1,000 voiceovers. But I actually just learned something new last week in the cartoon world, that you actually don't read both parts or 2 or 3 parts that are within there.
That's the weirdest part about auditioning by far, is that you're just spitting off all your lines. And if you're lazy and you don't read the whole scene and you don't actually play the other characters in your head, you don't get the same response as you would. So it is more difficult, little less time consuming because you don't have to find a reader. But I still line by line read the other characters' lines in my head, act them out, and then respond to that for sure.
Oh, so you've gotten pretty good at editing.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I started editing on my phone so I can do it on the go. And the other difference between, my normal voiceover jobs, I'm the voice of Freeform. So if you are watching Freeform and the bold type, Tuesdays at 6, blah, 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 that kind of job I do by myself in the studio or in my closet. But with We Are OFK, it was such an ensemble piece that one, we had to schedule everyone together, but we were all in the room together, kind of really feeding off each other's energy, facing each other. And that was difficult because if someone said their line and I wanted to laugh, I really had to give it a beat before I started laughing, or it would overlap their recording. So that was kind of an interesting technical thing.
With an ensemble reading, how did you guys deal when somebody screwed up a line? Because that had to happen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to be honest, our creative director and one of the writer producers who was also an actor in the project, we ended up like continuing. A lot of the time we would just keep going and play it off, even if they messed up the line, because something magical could have happened afterwards that they could take. Or if the actor was super aware of it, the actor would say again, and they would just repeat it. But we had some real good professionals in there. And Ally Maki, I mean, she's in all sorts of stuff. She's been doing VO for a while. She plays Giggles on Toy Story 3.
Okay.
So we had some good talent in there that really knew what they were doing.
I saw that you did the ABC Talent Showcase, and that's in front of every one of the casting directors and agents and managers in Hollywood. Did you feel I was to say, any pressure on that? It's kind of got to be like going in for a network test for a TV series.
Yeah, it actually is probably more stressful than a network test, especially because most of the people that are auditioning for the showcase, they are just starting their careers. Or they're in a bit of a lull. And so really getting in front of people means a lot. It's not just another role. It's like building relationships. So the audition process was brutal, Steve. It was undoubtedly one of the most brutal audition processes I've ever gone through. You would go in, you'd be there for 5 to 8 hours. They would just hand you loads of different scripts, cold read this, cold read, partnering you with people, and then just go home. And then the next day you may or may not get a call to come in. And after many weeks of this, they finally got down to their last 14. And the relationships that I made from that really built not only my confidence, but my, my kind of network of people to work with since, I mean, it really was life-changing. I would recommend any actor out there to at least apply and get in that room.
Do you feel that that's helped you land some of the series with ABC?
Oh my gosh, of course. Yeah, I think, you know, casting at ABC knows me. They know what I'm capable of. And so they, you know, when Stumptown came out, they really were like, oh yeah, let's get Fiona in to read this. And obviously there are so many cogs and so many pieces to the puzzle of casting. It doesn't matter if just a casting executive or this casting department is rooting for you. Even if they believe you're perfect for the role, there's, you know, 20 other people, executives and producers, that all have to kind of agree and be gung-ho. So I think there's a mindset out there that, you know, if you're meant for the role, it's perfect for you, you're going to get it. Yes, but also 20 other people have to agree upon it. So, you know, I think that's why this industry can be so difficult at times, but they definitely helped me, and they continue to help me. Today, oddly enough, is the virtual showcase of 2021. So I get to watch it as an audience member. But I still stay in touch with a lot of the executives there. We have catch up lunches a couple times a year. And, you know, when pilot season comes around, they definitely shoot me a little email and, you know, give me some goods, which I'm very grateful for.
And now you don't have the stress of necessarily walking in knowing that you've got $750,000 or $500,000 sitting on the table with a pilot. You've already experienced the monsters in the room.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing about Hollywood is like getting over the hurdles of the first time and getting to the confidence and the comfort level of what it feels like, you know, after doing it for a while. But still maintaining the joy and the excitement of the first time. That's that weird balance, because you can't get sick of it, because I've done a series regular and a recurring, and I still am auditioning and I'm still like grinding. But it just feels a lot more relaxed, even though I'm excited to do it.
When did you know in your acting career that you made that twist, that you were there?
Have I yet? I don't know.
Well, you landed a series. I'm
like, have we made it yet? I mean, that's the thing. I had 3 auditions this week, and I was like, oh, I hope they call me back. You know, you still have that feeling of like, do they like me? But I think, to be honest, it was really before I landed the series regular. It was probably when in the middle of shooting Stumptown, when I kind of realized that everybody in Hollywood are just human beings, like you go to at a day job. You know, do I want to work with these people? Do I trust these people around me? Are we working together for the same goal? Once my mindset started shifting into that direction, and I started treating everyone around me like a possible coworker that I want to collaborate with, it got way less stressful. It became way more fun, and I started booking more.
There you go. When you on your character, your first reoccurring, which did you originally start out to be just a couple episodes and then expanded?
Yeah, that was the coolest thing. You hear about that in stories sometimes, and like, you're like, well, that happened to me. It was a co-star. It was a possible recurring co-star. I had like 2 lines with Michael Ealy about giving him a folder. And, you know, I think that was the thing about ABC, is they're like, we know her. We know she is capable of. So they brought me in, they gave me the co-star, and I tried to just, you know, put me into it, give this character a bit more personality, so much so that you couldn't let her go. And they were awesome. Jason Richmond, the showrunner at the time, he just kept writing me in. And by the end of the series, I had a whole romantic arc with my partner, and there was drama, and it was so fun. I really wish we had a season 2 on that show. That was such a fun show.
What advice can you give to actors how to maintain the character episode to episode?
Oh, what a great question. The most difficult thing is that a lot of the time they don't shoot sequentially. There are times that they do, but there are times that they don't. And so I always have my script and I just try to simplify, what scene am I in right now? What do I want right now? And what happened the scene before? So I can really just smooth myself in from the scene before into the next one. Character wise, I haven't had the luck yet to play a lot of differential characters that are, different accents than me. I played Sarah Bernhardt, who was French, but that was shot a little bit differently than an episodic television show. I would say that there's a warm up theatrically when I do stuff like that. There's a warm up that I do to get myself into a certain place, even with voiceover. So whether that's a warm up to get myself into this register or this register, whether that's a warm up to get myself into a different body posture, whether that's I'm standing like this is the character or I'm standing like this is the character a lot of the time. There are warm-ups that I do to get myself there. And then I just do those same warm-ups to get myself there. Then there's making sure I know my moment before. If you always know your moment before, it will always flow. And then simultaneously trusting my team. Like, trust your team. Their team is there because we're all working together to make the same product good. So the hair and makeup team, the people on set, they're there to give you continuity and make sure that you're flowing from, the scene before, or that last time you had this bracelet on your hand and the bracelet isn't there. So go find the bracelet. All of those people are kind of looking out for you. So you got to do both due diligence and prepping yourself moment before, but also trust your team.
That is awesome. And one final question for you is, how long did it take for you to really hit your mark where you think you're at?
Oh my God, way longer than I thought it would. And to be honest, like, that's still fast for a lot of people. I've been acting since I was in second grade. But I grew up in a town where no one really understood how the Hollywood life worked. And then I moved to London, still not really knowing, and it's different there. Years and years and years. I only moved to London or to Los Angeles in 2016. And I started ABC Showcase in 2018. So for me and a lot of people, that's fast. 2 years in LA and you're already kind of like making moves. That's super fast. But keep in mind, I've been grinding at this gig and doing co-stars and extra work and weird presentational internal jobs for Geico or whatever for, since I was 16. I had my first commercial when I was 16, Fuddruckers. So I think you're grinding all the time, but people who want to make it, they got to come out to Hollywood. They got to feel what it feels like to do the audition management grind, because it's different out here than it is anywhere else. Absolutely.
Where can people find you on social media?
At Fiona Rene. Everything's Fiona Rene. Easy peas.
Well, I appreciate you being here today on the School of Hollywood. You're awesome.
You're awesome. Thank you, Steve.